before we come to the user management. So when you come to the 365 center, basically this is it. So when somebody is making noise that you need to know Microsoft 365, this is Microsoft 365. And 365 is more of the software as a service portion of Microsoft Cloud. And then the Azure is more of the infrastructure as a service and then platform as a service. I think we discussed these yesterday. Joshua, so which one are you doing?
The software as a service.
No, like, have you stopped the recording and then started afresh?
Yes, I'm starting a fresh recording and I'm deleting this. No problem.
Okay. All right. So the Azure is more of the infrastructure and then the platform bit, and then the 365 is more of the software as a service. Are we okay? So when you come to the 365 admin center, and I think because we were going through the entire process, so we forgot. So let's start all afresh. Now we have set up our account. When you are done, how do you log in? So I'm going to log out from here, and then we'll all walk through the process of getting in here. We'll walk through the process of getting in here. We'll walk through the process of getting in here. So when you set up your account and then you log out and then you want to log back in, you have to, in your browser, click admin.microsoft.com. Admin.microsoft.com. You can see my account is there urgently at maverickgh.onmicrosoft.com. Now, if I had an actual domain, it will probably be maybe maverickgh.com or something else. But because we don't have an actual domain, that is why we are using the on Microsoft domain. So I'll just enter my password and then sign in. Never. Do I want to stay signed in? I say yes. So once you sign in, you are here. So this is how you get in after you create your account. And on the left side, we have the home, which is all that we are seeing. And then we have users. So you have active users, you have contacts, you have guests, you have deleted users. So this is users. So as it stands now, I have only me, Louis Opoku Jenfi, with my account there. Then we have devices. So this also has to do with the devices that you provision in the environment. Currently, there are no devices. We also have teams and groups. We talk about groups. And we have the billing information. So this is where you can control your subscription. And so when you come to your products, like I mentioned that when you are done, you have to come in and cancel the subscription that we did. So you can see that we have the Microsoft Business Premium. That's the product we have. And so when I click here, they've given us 25 licenses, and Microsoft actually allows you to extend your trial date. So if you want to extend the trial date to enjoy it more, you can extend. But then don't forget that you will have to cancel the subscription. You have to cancel the subscription when the time is getting close. You have to cancel the subscription. All right, so then right from here, you can also access all the other admin portals. So let me show you. Okay, let me see. I think it opened. I closed it. I'm trying to see where we can get a cancellation thing so that we can cancel. Okay, so it's definitely not here, but we'll cancel tomorrow before we leave here. We'll cancel. Are we okay? We will cancel before we leave here. All right. So you can also assign licenses from here, but we'll talk about licenses later. And then when we come down here, we have the setup. So that's the setup that we skipped. Are we okay? So you can add or sync users and then do a whole lot of things from here. You can add or sync users to Microsoft Entra. So this is where we will come to if we want to synchronize our on-premise, which we will do. I'm hoping that we can cover enough today and then do that tomorrow. DJ, this is not the purpose of the class. All right. And so then we come to, so you have all these things here. Are we okay? We have all these things here, the cost management and all that. Then we come to show. So when we come to show all, we have the security. This is where you configure all the security things that has to do with Microsoft. So here we are talking about the endpoint security or the, what's the name? The 365 endpoint security. And then we have the compliance. Compliance is where you also configure all the things that has to do with compliance. So things like e-discovery, things like document labeling, and then all those ones you also cover it there. Then we have the endpoint manager. This is where you, this is more like an MDM, mobile device management system, that you can use to manage devices. Previously, it was called Microsoft Intune. It's now called Endpoint Manager. So you can use it to manage the computers like the way we used the Active Directory to manage the computers in the local environment. Then we have SharePoint. SharePoint allows you to create an intranet site that you can use for collaboration within your environment. And we know what Teams does. We can click on all the admin centers and we can see a lot of admin centers here. We can see a lot of admin centers here, but some of them are not even within the scope of what we are doing. But then there are a lot of admin centers that you can configure depending on the aspect of the 365 that you are using. So we want to look at user management. How do we manage the users in the 365? So you can manage 365 users in several ways, depending on your configuration. You can use the 365 admin center. You can use the PowerShell. You can also use Active Directory domain services. I think we are already familiar with Active Directory domain services because that was one of the first things that we did. And you can also do it from the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. And again, Entra Admin Center here is what we used to call Azure AD. So as soon as you have your 365 set up, the admin center and the PowerShell can be used to manage accounts. When managing cloud identities, every person in your organization has a separate user account name and password. It's actually the same with the on-prem also. So if you want to integrate with your on-prem organization and have users synchronized with Microsoft 365, you can use the Entra Connect. It used to be called Azure AD Connect. It's now called Entra Connect to provide synchronization of identities and passwords for single sign-on functionalities. So what we have done now with the setup of the 365, we have also created our cloud infrastructure. Remember in the diagram that we set up at the beginning of the class, we said that we will have a cloud infrastructure and then we'll have an on-prem. We started the session by configuring the on-prem, and then we've also set up the cloud now, but with this 365 setup. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to create users, and depending on how you manage your user is dependent on the identity model that you use. And there are two identity models, either cloud only or hybrid. Cloud only means that the user accounts are created in the cloud and they only work in the cloud. But if it is hybrid, then it means that you have the users synchronizing from both Active Directory domain services to use the on-prem ADDS tools to manage your user accounts. So this means that, and this is what most organizations do, because before they moved to the cloud, they already had their Active Directory there, and they can't just scrap it and then go and start creating users afresh. From our Active Directory, we know that users have profiles, and the user profiles contains their user settings and configurations and all that. So if you decide you're going to delete a user account and then go and start afresh from the cloud, you're going to have an issue unless you decide to migrate your entire infrastructure to the cloud, which is a different ball game altogether. All right, so let's look at how we can create users in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So it's just a web interface that allows you to create users, and it's very, very simple, and it is very, very straightforward. So when I come to the 365 Admin Center here, and I go to users, and then I click active users, you notice that we have Luis here, so we can just click add a user, and then I just click add a user, and straightforward, you have a form. So I want to create an account for David Vijay, and then his display name will be David Vijay. So DVJ, they sound like something, DVJ. And then we at maverickgh.microsoft.com. Then, and you know, this one, whichever one you are creating now, automatically is accessible on the internet. Once I set this thing up and I give him the password, he'll be able to access our 365 environment. So DVJ here, and then we have automatically create password, or we can set up the password ourselves, or we can say the system should automatically create the password for us. And then require this user to change password. This is familiar, right? Like what we saw at the other side. Then the next thing is, when you click next, the next thing is license. So the system has automatically detected that we are in Ghana. And so it is choosing that we are going to be working from Ghana, or we can select a different location. If let's say Vijay is in India, we can put him in India and then assign the license to him. Then we need to give the user a license. Now, licenses are very important. Every user account that you create in the cloud automatically has to be given a license. The user account is not functional. I will not be able to access the resources automatically like the way it is in the on-prem environment. In the on-prem, when we created the users, we didn't do anything. Even though in most production environments, in the on-prem, you will require something called CAL, Client Access License. But I mean, you're able to do things without using a CAL. But with the 365 environment, once you create a user and you don't assign a license to the user will not be able to do anything. It is the license you assign to the user that determines the things the user can access. So as it stands now, we have two subscriptions. So we have two licenses. We have the 365 Business Premium, and we have the 365 Mobility E5 that we enabled. So I'm going to go with the E5. And once you select the E5, you can drop down and see what he is going to have access to. So the E5 license gives him access to Azure Information Protection, both Premium 1 and Premium 2, rights management. It comes with all these things. Then Microsoft Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Defender for Identity, and then so on and so forth. So he has access to all these. If maybe what he's going to do, you do not want him to use some of these things. For example, we don't want him to enter the Entra, whatever. We can just uncheck these things and then specify which ones we want him to have the rights to. Are we okay? And then we'll click next. And these are optional settings. So we can also assign roles. Now, when we talk about roles are very, very, very important. The roles allows you to determine what the user can do. So as it stands now, the user is a user, which is okay. He can access the environment and work. That is all. But if you want to make the person an admin and give the person some rights to perform certain administrative tasks, then you can specify which role that this person can have. And then he's a user and this guy is a criminal, so I wouldn't want to make him an admin. Before I realize we do cool and remove me from the system. Okay, so we'll click next. And so there it is. The password is auto-generate and then finish adding. And just like that, we have added him. So this is the password that the system generated for him. This is the password that the user generated for him. So we can close. And just like that, we have VJ here. So this is one way of creating users. The other way to create a user is you can do it from the identity or the Entra Admin Center. Entra Admin Center. And at the end of the day, even though we created the user from the 365 Admin Center, at the background there, the user identity itself is the Entra. So whatever we have created there automatically has been put here. Even though we're doing it there, it was actually being done within the Entra. Because there is that unified thing there. Are we okay? So you can see him here, David BJ. So he's here. So here too, you can create a user. Just that the interface is a bit different, but then it's almost the same. Just that the interface is a bit different, but it's almost the same. So with here too, we can come to new user, and then we can create a user. So again, you have a form that you fill. So user principal name. Let me see. Okay, today Ernestina is in school, so we create an account for Ernestina. So Ernestina Tavia. So Tavia. Ernestina, do you come after twins? All right. Oh, okay. Nice one.
Yeah, so it's
So
my father who is after 12.
and automatically you are also now after twins.
Yes, so as a darling daughter.
So all right. So here also we have a form. Again, it picks our domain. So Etavia, and then display name is going to be Ernestina area. And then it has
Boss,
the yes, sir.
I did a class inside. You not ask me anything. Every day difficult questions. And still at there, you ask some soft questions.
Joshua,
Boss,
you dropped Toto Nyanya today.
boss, I did other in duty. I don't.
So you don't feel that Toto Nyanya. I don't ask you difficult question, right?
Today you not ask, but I know say you go ask before the class go end.
Nah, no, Allah. All right. So don't worry, your own time. So we have the password again auto-generated, and then the account is enabled. Are we okay? The account is enabled, so we have to click next to go to the property. So you can see at the top here the things that you need to go through to create the account are all there. So you can also decide that you are creating the account, but then the account is disabled. It's also allowed. So all right, so we click next to go to the property. So when it comes to the properties, it's asking us for her first name. So her first name is Ernestina, and then her last name is Area. And then the user type. So the user is going to be a member. What's your position? What position do you want? So, and then we can add the Maverick and then all the things that comes with it. That comes with it. So, but I want to point something to you as we go along the line. Then we have the contact information and then all that. Are we okay? Some of these things can be left there. You can add all this information if you want to. And you can add the department. So maybe the department is HR. The department is HR. You can add the department as HR. And then all these things can be added. You can add who is her manager and then all that. I'm putting the HR here because I will touch on something we call dynamic groups. Dynamic groups. You know that, let me not jump ship. So let's go. But I want you to pay attention to this usage location here. You notice that when we're doing in the 365, it detected that we are in Ghana, so automatically filled it out for us. But when it comes to the Entra Admin Center, it does not automatically fill the usage location. You will have to fill it. And if you leave it blank, it has some serious repercussion, which I would want us to fill it before we'll come back and then fix it. So I'm going to leave this blank and then go to next assignments. So you can add the person to a group, but then we've not discussed groups and we don't have any groups, so we are not going to do anything of that sort. And then we'll click next. And so it gives us a summary of the user and then the information, so we can click create. So we have successfully created here. And so when we refresh, we probably have to give ourselves a little time and then she will appear. She's taking her time. Ernestina, where are you? All right, so there she is. Now, when we double click on her, we have this information about her, but then the account is disabled. So here we can edit and then enable the account. So when you create the user, it's not like that is all. Are we okay? And then I want us to look at the licenses. You know, we did not assign any license to her. We now have to assign a license to her. So when I click assignments and then select E5 and then probably say I want her to have all these resources and then I click save. It says license assignment failed. Now, the reason why the license assignment failed is due to the fact that we did not enable her usage location. But if you get a chance to manage these things and you are creating users, especially from the Entra Admin Center or Azure AD Admin Center, you have to make sure that any user you create, you specify the usage location. So that is something that you should put in your pocket. Don't forget. So when I come to, so we have to go back to users, or even just go back to her account users, and then go back to Ernestina, and we want to edit her. Are we okay? We want to edit her properties. So we'll just scroll through. Where is the usage location? Member. I'm coming, go back. User type. Hey, the usage location says it won't come. Oh, so that we can just get it straightforward. The usage location, so I'll just drop down and then select, I think she's in Argentina. So we'll just click save and then we are good to go. The reason why we did not see the usage location was because it has grouped the options into headings. the job information, the contact information. So that is then the parental control and then settings. So the usage location is under settings in case you are doing it. So once this is done, I want to go back to users and then go to Ernestina again and then select licenses. And this time around, we should not have any issue assigning the license. So we can just click save, and you can see that the license has been assigned successfully. So that is the issue with it. That's why it didn't work. Then we have the other way that we can create the user is through PowerShell. The other way is through PowerShell. So we have the directory synchronization, which we will do. Then we have the PowerShell. So you can also create users in PowerShell like we did with the, what's the name? With our, so let's go to PowerShell and then see how to do this also. Again, let's just go. I think we saw the ISE the other time when we're doing the user creation. So I think we can just still work with the ISE as it makes life a bit easy for us. As it makes life a bit easy for us. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to install the module that will allow us to use the PowerShell to communicate with our 365 environment. So we'll do install module. And the module that we want to install is MS Online. Are we okay? The module we want to install is MS Online. We say install module, right? Okay, so I need to run this as administrator. I need to run this as administrator. Yeah. Okay, so we are here, PowerShell. So install module MS Online. And we will take a little while to do the installation. And once the installation is done, we will, so it's asking us, it needs to install a tool called Nugget. So we have to say yes, so that the Nugget can be installed. There will be another pop-up that the location where it's installing the file from is not trusted. But I'm hoping that by now Microsoft has fixed it, because at first that prompt used to come a lot. Yeah, so it's there on trusted repository. So these two, we say yes, and then we give it time. So it's going to do the installation, so you can see it's running, and just like that, it is done. It will look as if nothing has happened, but then a lot has happened. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to connect to our MS Online service. So we will use the command connect MS Online service, and then we'll hit enter. So when we hit enter, there will be a prompt requesting that we enter our account and then password. And so I'm going to use urgently at maverickgh.onmicrosoft.com. Then I'll click next. And then I'll have to provide my password. So that's how you use the PowerShell to connect to the Microsoft Online. So as it stands now, we are here. We are now connected. So even though you're not seeing anything, it's there. So if I list the users, are we okay? If I list the users, using this command called get MS online users, are we okay? You see that we know we are online because it has listed our users for us. So we have Iteria, we have LGenFi, we have VJ. So the accounts are there. So this tells you that we are here. And so if we want to create a user, and you know, these things, you may not know the scripts offhand. Google is always there to use, okay? I remember, when I was doing digital ethical hacking, and then my lecturer said that, oh, you mentioned that Google is not for monkeys. So he said that Google is not for monkeys. So which means that Google is for human beings. So whenever there's anything that is bothering you that you can't really wrap your head around it, just put it in Google. Are we okay? So here we are going to use new. Okay, Nestina has a question. She says that, so I have a question. So my Office 365 account works fine on my desktop in the office, but on my laptop, it states I should contact admin. What could be the probable cause? Are there features that can restrict permissions? So you see, the good thing about 365 is that we have something we call conditional access. So conditional access allows administrators to specify what conditions will allow a user to log in. So I am assuming that they are using conditional access there. And so they have specified which devices on which you can log on. That is the reason why you're not able to use it on your personal machine. It's based on the conditional access. This is to ensure that people don't go and log in on other systems, that people may have some tools that may harvest your credential. So I'm very, very positive that it's conditional access. Are you okay? Yeah. It's sitting right when you go to the admin centers and you go to endpoint manager. When you go to endpoint manager, it's sitting right here. Well, every organization has their policies and what their goal is. If you are required to work from home, I'm sure they will make it possible. And if you are required to work from home, the company will assign you, what's the name? A device. Are we okay? The company will assign you a device that you will use to work, and they would have enabled permissions on it for you to be able to use it. Is it clear? Some companies will even assign a phone to you and make sure you can use the office on the phone rather than on your personal phone. So on your personal phone, it will not work, but then on the other devices, it will work. So it's like that. So basically, conditional access is sitting somewhere here. Yeah, so meaning that they manage all the devices through here. So all the devices have been enrolled in here. I really wish that, I mean, the class had gone the way I was hoping that the class would go. And then we could have, I mean, come this far. We could have come this far. So here you can manage all devices of all platforms from iOS to Mac to Android and so on and so forth. And then you have the conditional access here. So when it comes to conditional access, you can specify the conditions and then specify which operating system, which devices, and then all that on which the users can log on. And once it is done, this one is internet-based. And so you can't say that, what if I'm not connected? You need internet for it to work. So is there. So conditional access is the tool used by Microsoft Entra ID to bring signals together to make decisions and enforce organizational policies. So you can create a new conditional access policies, but then we are jumping ship. But then basically, I believe strongly that this is what they are using to manage your accounts in the office. All right, so we are back here. We are creating users. Don't mind the noise in the background. It's evening time. Things are happening. All right. So we are going to create a user here.
Until unless I buy some for you. Emily.
All right, get to work.
What you do is that
All right, so let's go. So when we come to new, we want to create a new user, right? So we use the script new MSOL user. If we want to manage, we use set. So it is new set and get. Are we okay? That is what is used there. And then the first thing, so I just want to show you something. If I copy this, go to Google. Like I said, Google is not for monkeys, it's for human beings. So if you want to, so new MSOL user, this is it. And then you come here, it gives you all the parameters that you can add to it. Are we okay? It gives you all the parameters that you can add to it. So it goes like this: new MS old user, they have the user principal name, they have the display name, they have the first name, and they have the last name, like that. And then you can also create the user and then add license to it. So that one too is there. So you see, so if maybe you are in an organization and they are asking you to do this, and then you just have to scroll here. And you can also add a user and add a preferred data location, and it goes on like that. So I mean, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'll just copy this, but then I'll change the name to one of us here. So Joshua, this will be for you.
Boss.
Yeah. So this would be J Saki. Then the display name would be Joshua Saki. Joshua Saki. The first name is Joshua, the last name is Saki. The last name is Saki. And then just like that, that is it. So this is one of the ways to create it, and they've given us a lot of examples. Obviously, you can add the phones and then all those, alternate email address. You can add all these things, but then it's dependent on what you are trying to achieve as the person creating the account. All right, so I'm just going to copy this and then bring it to our PowerShell. Let me clear this, and I'll just paste. I just need to verify that everything is okay. So user principal name. It is unable to create this user because the user principal name provided is not
At
a very-
cottonsoft.com. Check that.
Ah,
.com.
okay, yeah. So we need to change this to Maverick. Copy and paste the new Maverick gh dot on Microsoft.com. All right, so I think this should fix it. All right. Yeah, and so he has been created, but then it says that the account has not been licensed. So let's quickly look at something here. So let's refresh to see. Here too, we need to refresh. This is the 365 admin center. We'll have to refresh to see Ernestina and then Joshua. So you can see Joshua here. You can also see Ernestina. They recruited Ernestina in the Entra admin center, recruited Joshua in the PowerShell, and they are all here. And it works like that. So you can just create the users like that. So let's touch on groups and then probably we can end the session. God willing, tomorrow
So a
we'll link
question.
our. Yes, boss.
If you want to check that your account is licensed, you can also use a PowerShell to check, right?
Is there when is there? It's here.
The same
It
command.
tells you that this user is on license. So you see, it's
yeah.
licensed. You say false.
Oh,
If we bring this command, get MSO user and then hit enter, so that it lists all the users for us. You see that the last three are true, but this one is false.
yeah. Okay.
Are we okay?
Yes.
So it tells you that this one, those ones are true, but then that one is false. So that tells you that this user account is not licensed.
Okay.
All right. So that is how you create users in the 365 environment. And then let's quickly touch on groups and then create some groups and then we can end the session. It's 8 already. So we've looked at how to activate the license. So once you create a user, every user requires a license. And then you can also add roles. And so the 365 or Office subscription come with a set of admin roles that you can assign to users in your organization using the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Each admin role maps to common business functions and gives people in your organization permissions to do specific tasks in the admin center. So in my organization, for example, we do not manage the 365. It's managed by the IT department. We are in the cybersecurity department. But then they have given us security administrator roles so that we can manage the security aspects of the 365. So it's a role that has been assigned to us. But then the custodian of the 365 is the IT because they use it more for user access, for email, and then all that. And you know, with what we have done, you can easily set up Exchange. It's part of the package, so you can easily set up Exchange. But again, that is also a different story for a different time.
Wow.
All right. So when we talk about groups, so groups are used for collaboration between users, both inside and outside the organization. So there are so many groups there. If you remember from the on-prem, we had security groups and then we had distribution groups. These were the groups that we had. But with the cloud, there are several of them. So the first one is the Microsoft 365 group. So the 365 group is used for collaboration between users, both inside and outside your company. So this is what you use for Microsoft Teams. So with each Microsoft 365 group, members get a group email and shared workspace for conversation, files, and calendar events, stream, and then what? Planner. Microsoft 365 can also be connected to Teams or Viva Engage. These are all some of the tools or resources in the 365. And it's so sad that when you come to Ghana, the only aspect of the 365 we use is the email and then the Office applications. That's all. And maybe Teams. That's all. but then there are a lot of tools in the Yammer. You can use Yammer to create your own social media. There's Microsoft Stream for video streaming. There are so many things in there, but Charlie, you're only focused on Teams.
Wow.
Let's proceed. Then we have the distribution group. So this distribution group here is no different from the distribution group we saw in the physical environment. So this is no different from that distribution group. So distribution groups are used for no distributions as they are. Are we okay? Then we have the security groups. So this is also not different from what we saw in the Active Directory. So this is used to grant users permissions to resources. This is used to grant users permissions to resources on the 365. And then we have the mail-enabled security group. So if you want to have the benefit of the 365 group and then also the benefits of the security group, then you can create what we call the mail-enabled security group. So this is a hybrid kind of group that is there. Are we okay? That is there. So again, you can create, and then when it comes to, you have the shared mailbox. So you can also have a shared mailbox. Maybe you have a group of, let's say a department, and you want the department to have a mailbox that all the people in the department can receive that mails in that particular. So when an email is sent to it, all the department members can go into it and then read. So shared mailbox are used when multiple people need access to the same mailbox, such as a company information or support email address, reception desk, or and so on and so forth. So if a lot of users are supposed to access the same mailbox, you can create a shared mailbox and then they will all have access to it. And then they can also send email as or send email on behalf of. Those are things that comes when you have some of these shared mailboxes. And I think lastly, a group, when it comes to assigning users to a group or creating groups, a group can be an assigned group or a dynamic group. So if it is assigned group, it means that you have to manually add users to the group. But if it is dynamic group, then users will be automatically added to the group based on certain rules or criteria or policy that you set or attributes that the user may have. So we can say that, like I created Ernestina in the HR department. When I create a group called HR, I want Ernestina to be automatically added to that group. I don't have to manually go and add her. So I can specify that any user with the department stated as this should be put in this group. Or maybe we can do it countrywide, we can do it statewide, depending on the attribute that you want to use for the automation of the user assignments to the groups. So basically, that is how groups are treated in the 365 environment. So you see that things are a little different from the, what's the name? Things are a little different from how they are in the other environments. Are we okay? So here too, let's look at how we can create groups. Let's look at how we can create groups. So when we come to the Entra Admin Center, you see that we have groups. And then we have all groups. So as it stands now, I don't think we have any group there. Are we okay? As it stands now, I don't think we have any group there. All right. So when we come here, okay, so we have all company, we have all users, and we have Maverick. So these have been automatically created for us. But then we will create our own group. It's straightforward. And then we have to specify the type of group. Okay, so from here, we can specify the type of group. So with here, you are only seeing the security and then the 365. But when we create groups from the admin 365 admin center, we will be able to specify the other group types that we discussed. So let's say we want to create a security group. We want to call this group HR. So this is for the human resource department. Good. So Microsoft Entra roles can be assigned to group. We don't want to assign any role, but if you say yes, you can specify what type of roles you want to assign to the group. We don't want to say that. So it says group membership. So by default it's assigned, but we can specify what dynamic user. So the dynamic, we have user, we have device. So you can also decide that the group should be for computers or phones. And so you can create a group for maybe Android, a group for iPhones, a group for Windows machines, a group for Linux machines. But then you have to specify the dynamic what device. So we have dynamic user here. Are we okay? So we need to specify what needs to be, what condition or what attributes must a user have in order to be automatically added to this group. So we have to what? Create a query. Oh. All right, so when we come here, is there a question? Does 365 have log features you can monitor activities of users? Yes. 365 has log features you can monitor activities of users. As a matter of fact, you can see everything that the user is doing if you want to see. So we know the time you are logging in, we know the emails you have received, the emails you have deleted, and all that. Are we okay? You see, when you come to users, we'll come back. Okay, we need to finish this first. But let me go to the 365 admin center and show you something here. When I come to users, and then I click active users, and I click on any of the, let me click on me because I have logged in, right? So when you look at me here and you scroll down, you see where are you? Okay, devices, license and new. So currently the mailbox feature is not there. I think we'll get more at the Entra here. Let me finish this thing and then we will look at it from there. Are we okay? So I'm just trying to create a query. So select a property. Are we okay? So we'll probably say department. Okay. And then we'll choose the operator equals. And then we'll add value and say HR. So if a user is being added and then the department equals HR, let's add expression. Are we okay? So if the user's department equals to HR, the user should automatically be added to this group, and then you can just say. And then once we have selected that, we can just click create.
They have
So,
made programming very easy.
Jose,
Mama programming, yes, simple. Yeah, I feel like virtual code.
God bless the white man. So let's go back to users now. All users. These are the Entra Admin Center. And again, I want to click new. So you see, I have last signed in. Are we okay? So if I check my sign ins, it should be able to tell me the last time I signed in, and it's showing every place that I have signed in. Are we okay? So the PowerShell thing I did and all that is here. So there is nothing like I didn't do it. And it's now you okay? And then it shows the IP address from which you logged in, gives you the location, Accra, Greater Accra. Yeah.
What
And
of the one we did in Argentina? It didn't show.
no, I'm using mine because I have logged in. That
Ah,
account has
okay.
not been used to
Okay.
log in. Are we okay? And
Okay.
it's even beautiful when you go to the security side. Are we okay? It's even beautiful when you go to the security side because that place, and with your environment where they are managing you through the Intune, when you open that side also, it also has the different kind of information that it can give you. Are we okay? So we have audit logs, we have sign-in logs. So based on whatever rules has been set, that will determine the kind of logs that the system. So again, it's here. So these are the things that I have done. Group management, I have managed groups, I have managed user, I have done all these things. Then we have the sign-in logs also. So the sign-in logs also shows the type of sign-in that I have done. So there is no hiding when it comes to some of these things. All right. So back to the Entra Admin Center and users again. So all users. Of course, there will always be a pot. Wherever you pass, there will be a pot. All right. So when we come here and then we go to Ernestina, remember when we were creating Ernestina, we didn't put her anywhere. Okay, the group is, the account is enabled. Let me edit it and then say, oh, so I'm just going to enable the account and click save. So her account has been enabled now. Group member. You see that automatically she has been added to HR. Even though when I created the HR group, I didn't add anybody to it. But because when we created her account, we added the department as HR. And then we said that the group is a dynamic group. And so automatically, once you create any user and then give it that attribute, the person will automatically be added. If we create another group and then we say that the group is for cybersecurity and then we change the department of any of the users to cybersecurity, automatically the person is going to be put there. So this is how you manage users and groups in the 365 environment. If you have a question, you can ask. If there is no question, my work is done for the day. All right.
Louis,
So
I have a question.
what question?
It's a general question to everyone on board. And I want to ask, some of us are very new to this field. So what are the general difficulties system admins face day in and day out concerning their jobs, their work?
Raman. No.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, talk to us.
I'm not a system admin, so I don't think this person.
Hey, the cock did not crow 3 times. Eh, All right. I think it's a general question. And so the issue will have to be, or we can look at it from this context and using our organization, you and I work in the same organization. Using our organization, we know that right from the beginning, if the things are not well planned, talk about the structuring of the departments into the OUs and all that. And then what's the name? The user department naming, device naming, and all that. You are going to have a challenge with all the other things that you integrate with your Active Directory. Then the other thing also has to do with maintenance, backups, updates. Sometimes you do an update and then the update will mess up your environment and you have to quickly get a backup. Then you talk about your synchronization. If you have a multi-domain controller environment or multi-domain environment, what we did in the lab here is just one domain. There are situations where you have one institution, they have about 10 domains, and all these domains need to interact with each other. Users from these domains need to access resources from all the other domains. So it all now boils down back to planning. And then if the systems are not synchronizing, somebody wants to access a file, the access is not happening, then there is a problem. Have I answered you, boss?
Yes.
So I want to ask, when it comes to the planning, for instance, somebody set up his company, he employs the IT person to come. We may have other departments, management from other departments. I think when it comes to the planning, must they all of the managers come together in planning some of the rules and all that, because the IT will give certain rules which might not favor the other departments, how they do their work.
No,
So when it comes to the planning, how is it like?
Okay, so when it comes to the planning, first it has to be an all-inclusive thing. Not that they are coming to tell you what to do, but then you need to understand the work environment. What is everyone doing? What does everyone need? So you can treat it like a project. And as a matter of fact, if you are setting up these things in environments, it is a project. And so all the project management things must come in, requirement gathering and everything. So you need to gather all those information, and then you as the system engineer or system architect, based on the information you have gathered, will now decide that this is what is going to solve our problem. And then you put it on paper, send it for approval, and then you test it out and then implement it.
Okay.
What do you say?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you have to treat it as, so it's not like, Charlie, it doesn't just happen, it doesn't just fall from the sky, especially even with networks and all that. So the network needs to be properly designed. The system architecture also needs to be properly designed. Then you can have a peaceful environment.
Yeah.
If not, every day you'll be adding something, every day you're removing something.
Yes.
But if it is properly designed, then you don't touch anything until you have updated your design before you physically implement it.
Okay.
but it is easier said than done. When you go to the, when you
The
go to
field,
the,
yeah,
when you go to the field, we
the field is
are
different.
eager to do. We finish doing before we, yeah, we finish and we don't even care about the documentation. But the documentation is
Yeah,
a real deal,
important. Yeah.
especially if you are going in for some of these standards and then all that. That's a real deal. Network diagram is a very, very big issue when it comes to ISO. Even your system architecture is also a very big deal. All the services that are running on it, you need to provide justification. If you are using DNS, why do you need DNS? If you are using this, you need to provide business justification for all these things to provide that, to ensure that, yes, all these things are needed. And please, me too, I'm not a system administrator. In fact, I have never worked as a system administrator.
Wow. Okay.
But I have trained a lot of system administrators. I
And
mean,
you are more than administrator.
from 2013 to 2018, 2019. Yeah. In GIMPA, we used to run a Saturday MCSE class, and it was almost every 3 months we had different set of people, and it was running like that
Wow.
every 3 months like that. So I have trained a lot of system admins, but myself, I have never worked as a system administrator.
Mhm.
But that was why I decided that I have taught small, it's okay.
Yeah.
From
I have to chop the
2013 to 2021, that's a long time. So I had to hang my gloves and my marker and everything, but I still like teaching. That's why sometimes I do some of these sessions, but the participation mostly kills the game. So, God willing, tomorrow we will have our last session, and we will
Okay.
look at how to synchronize our on-prem with the cloud. And then I'll see if maybe we can try to manage our client computer also from the cloud if there is time. So if there is no further questions, I think we are done. But if there is a question, it is welcome.
Thank you, boss.
All right, so guys, have a good evening. Now, for who no joined this session today? Okay, well, there is the recording. So if it was up to me, like from this part going, we won't post the recording. But Nestina will say she has to watch it to be able to catch up.
Yes. So.
Yeah, in the spirit.
All right,
Yes.
guys. Good evening.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
All right.